You're listening to Still Standing with Brett Francis. Real stories, honest conversations, practical hope. Wherever you are in your journey, welcome.
Welcome back to Still Standing. I'm Brett Francis, and today I want to talk about something that I haven't completely figured out yet. Actually, that's probably the most honest way that I can start this episode, because normally when we tell stories about difficult things, we tell them from the other side. Here's what happened. Here's what I learned. Here's how I overcame it. Nice little beginning, middle, and end. This is not one of those stories. I'm still in the middle of this one. And the question that I'm wrestling with is incredibly simple. Who am I if I'm not working? Not temporarily off work, not recovering so I can eventually get back to normal, not waiting for the next treatment or surgery or rehabilitation milestone. What happens when I actually accept that returning to a traditional job may not be the goal anymore? What happens when permanent disability isn't the terrible outcome I've been fighting against for so long and the entire way, but might actually be what's best for me, including according to all of my medical professionals? Wow, even saying that out loud feels uncomfortable, because somewhere along the way, I learned that work wasn't just something that I did. It became evidence of who I was. And if I take that away, I've had to figure out what's left. I thought recovery meant going back. I've had 4 major spine surgeries, and through all of them, I think there was always this idea somewhere in my head that recovery meant returning. Get through surgery, recover, rehabilitate, get stronger, get back to life, get back to work, get back to being productive, get back to being me. There was always a destination. And that destination looked suspiciously like my old life, maybe with a few accommodations, maybe with some adjustments, but ultimately success meant getting back. For a long time, I couldn't imagine another definition. Because if I didn't get back, what did that mean? Did surgery win? Did disability win? Did I fail? Was I giving up? Those questions are brutal when you're someone who has always measured yourself by what you can handle. And boy, could I handle a lot. I loved being capable. I loved being dependable. I loved being someone who could figure things out. Work gave me structure. It gave me goals. It gave me accomplishments I could point to and say, I did that. There is something very concrete about professional success. You get the job, you get the promotion, you finish the project, you solve the problem. Someone tells you that you did a good job. There are metrics, there are titles, there are paychecks, there are deadlines, there are things that you can't put on a resume. Then disability comes along and says, okay, what if none of those things are available to you in the same way anymore? Who are you now? That's a much harder performance review. The part that people don't always see. I think one reason this has been difficult for me is that people often see a very functional version of me. I'm bubbly. I laugh, I make plans, I create things, I have ideas. I can be excited about something and probably have 15 ideas about what we should do with it before everyone else has finished their coffee. That's genuinely me. I'm not pretending to be that person, but she's not the whole story. There are also down days, more than I'd like there to be and more than I'd like to admit. There are days when normal life already feels like a full workload. There are days when my body is asking for more than I have available. There are days when pain takes up space, fatigue takes up space, appointments take up space, managing my health takes up space, being a mom takes up space, being a partner takes up space, just maintaining a life takes up space. And I think sometimes when you're still smiling, people don't realize how expensive that smile can be. They see what you managed to do. They don't necessarily see what it cost. And sometimes I don't see what it cost either. That's probably been one of my biggest problems. I look at good days and think, see, you could work. You did all of this today. You obviously have capacity. But that's not how disability works. Capacity isn't measured by what you can accomplish on your best Tuesday. It's measured by what you can sustainably do across Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays and more, including the bad ones. And I've had to start being brutally realistic about that. The question I didn't want to answer for a long time, the question was, could I technically go back to work? And I've realized that might have been the wrong question because I'm stubborn. Give me enough motivation, adrenaline, caffeine, and consequences, and I can technically do a lot of things. That doesn't mean they're sustainable. So I've started asking a different question. What would working actually cost me? Not financially, personally. If my capacity is already limited, where would those hours come from? Would they come from my rest? Would they come from my parenting? Would they come from my relationship? Would they come from the little bit of energy that I have left for things I actually enjoy? Would I spend everything I have proving that I can work, and then to have nothing left for my actual life? That's where this has started to change for me, because some days I genuinely don't have enough capacity for the day that I already have. And adding a job doesn't magically create more capacity. It just creates another place that capacity has to go and come from. That's a painful reality. But denying reality doesn't change it. It just makes me keep losing the same fight. Permanent disability. Those are big words. That's heavy and very stigmatized. At least they are for me. Permanent sounds final. It sounds hopeless. It sounds like someone closed a door. And I've spent years trying to open doors. So accepting permanent disability can feel completely opposite to everything I thought resilience was supposed to look like. But I'm starting to wonder whether I've misunderstood resilience. Maybe resilience isn't always fighting your way back. Maybe sometimes resilience is having the courage to stop fighting reality. There's a difference between giving up on your life and giving up on a version of your life that is hurting you. Those are not the same thing. If returning to traditional work means constantly exceeding my physical capacity, recovering from work instead of living, sacrificing the energy that I need for my daughter, and measuring every day by whether I manage to survive it, then maybe returning isn't automatically the victory. Maybe protecting the life I still have is. That's a very different definition of success than the one that I grew up with, and I'm still getting used to it. I thought I'd be someone else by now. There's a lot of grief in this too. I don't want to dress it up as some inspirational transformation where I've discovered the secret meaning of life and now everything is beautiful. There are things that I miss. There are things I thought I'd be doing. There are versions of my future that I assumed were guaranteed. And I think we underestimate how much grief comes with losing a future that technically never existed. Nobody died. Nothing tangible disappeared, but you can still mourn the person that you expected to become. You can mourn the career, the independence, the physical freedom and capabilities, the version of yourself who didn't have to calculate everything. And grief doesn't mean you're ungrateful for what you still have. Both can exist at the same time. I can love my life and wish parts of it were different. I can be proud of how far I've come and be angry that I ever had to come this far in the first place. I can accept disability and still hate what it has taken from me. Those aren't contradictions. They're just complicated truths. Now here's the resume that nobody sees. Something I've been thinking about. If I took away every job title I've ever had, every professional accomplishment, every credential, every productive thing I've ever done, what would I put on the resume of who I am? Not what I've accomplished, who I am. I've survived 4 spine surgeries, but even that's something that has happened to me. So let's go deeper. Who did those surgeries require me to become? More patient, not always willingly, that's for sure. More empathetic, more aware that you have absolutely no idea what another person might be carrying. More willing to ask for help. Still working on that one, trust me. More protective of my energy. More present as a mom. More aware of what actually matters. I believe everything I've gone through has made me a better person, a better mom, a better partner, a better human being. Not because suffering automatically makes people better. It doesn't. But because I had support, I had people who helped me through surgeries. I had people who challenged the way I thought. I had people who helped me see that surviving wasn't supposed to be a solo sport. And I had a choice about what I did with what happened to me. That's something I'm really proud of. And none of it appears on that traditional resume. Also thinking about, what does my daughter actually need from me? Motherhood has changed the equation too completely. Because when I think about success now, I have to ask, what does my daughter actually need from me? Does she need a mom who can say she forced herself back into a conventional career despite everything and sacrificed it at all costs? Or does she need me, present, available, interested in her life, able to laugh with her, able to make memories, able to be there when she needs me? I want her to grow up seeing ambition. I want her to grow up seeing resilience. I want her to know that women can build things and lead and create and have enormous dreams. But I also don't want to accidentally teach her that her value depends on her productivity. And children learn much more from what we demonstrate than what we tell them. I can tell her, you are enough exactly as you are. But if she watches me spend my life believing that I'm only enough when I'm producing something, what lesson am I actually teaching? Boy, that one hits me. Because I don't want her to inherit a definition of success that I'm currently trying to unlearn. So, what does success look like now? I don't have a perfect answer, but I'm building one. Success might be recognizing a bad day before I completely drain myself. Success might be canceling something without spending the next 6 hours punishing myself for it. Success might be having enough energy left at the end of the day to actually enjoy my family. Success might be creating something meaningful without requiring myself to turn it into a full-time job. Success might be recording this podcast. It might be having a conversation that makes one person feel understood, that makes a difference with one person. It might be asking for help before I'm desperate for it. It might be resting because I need rest, not because I've finally earned permission to collapse. Some days success might genuinely be just getting through the day. Other days I might accomplish 10 things. Neither day makes me more or less valuable. That's the part I'm trying to learn. My output can change, my capacity can change, my circumstances can change. My value cannot be allowed to fluctuate with them. Because if worth is tied to productivity, eventually every human being loses. We age, we get sick, we need help, life happens. Surely our humanity has to be worth more than our output. I still want things, and I want to make something really clear. Accepting that I may not return to traditional work doesn't mean I've stopped wanting things. I still have ambition. Probably an annoying amount of it. I still have ideas. I still want to create. I still want to speak. I still want this podcast to grow and help people. I still want adventures. I still want to learn things. I still want to contribute. Disability doesn't erase that part of me. What I'm trying to change is the belief that every interest has to become an obligation. I can create without turning creation into another way to exhaust myself. I can contribute without proving I can function like someone without my limitations. I can have goals that fit my life instead of constantly forcing myself to fit my goals. Maybe that's not thinking smaller. Maybe that's finally thinking honestly. What if this is the better life? This is the question that makes me super uncomfortable. What if permanent disability actually allows me to build a better quality of life? Not the life I originally planned. A better life for the person I am now. A life where my limited energy goes toward the people and things that matter most. A life where I don't spend every good day trying to compensate for every bad one. A life where rest isn't evidence of failure. A life where my daughter gets more of me than my resume does. A life where success is measured by meaning instead of exhaustion. I don't know exactly what that life looks like yet. That's the raw part. I'm figuring it out while I'm living it. But maybe I don't need to know exactly who I'm becoming before I let go of who I thought I had to be. Maybe there's room between those two identities. And maybe that's where I am right now. We're on to the Still Standing Challenge. So this week's Still Standing Challenge is a little different. I want you to imagine that tomorrow, every title you used to explain your value disappeared. Your job title, your degree, your income, your accomplishments, your productivity, even the roles you play for other people. Take all of it away. Then finish this sentence 5 times. I am someone who, not I am someone who works at, not I am someone who has achieved. Who are you? Maybe I am someone who loves deeply. I am someone who keeps showing up. I am someone who makes people laugh. I am someone who notices when someone else is struggling. I am someone who creates. I am someone who protects the people that I love fiercely. I am someone who keeps learning. Whatever yours are, write them down. Because those things don't disappear when your capacity changes. I used to think recovery meant getting my old life back. I don't anymore. I don't think I'm supposed to become the person I was before 4 spine surgeries. The person that hadn't learned what I know now. She hadn't needed the support I've needed. She didn't understand capacity the way I do now. She didn't understand how much strength there can be in accepting help. And she definitely didn't understand that sometimes the strongest decision isn't pushing herself harder. It's deciding what deserves the energy that you have left. I'm still learning how to separate what I do from who I am. I'm still learning how to say permanent disability without hearing failure. I'm still redefining success. And there will probably still be days when I look at everything I didn't accomplish and feel like I'm falling behind. But maybe I'm not behind. Maybe I'm just no longer running toward the same destination. And maybe success isn't getting back to the life I had. Maybe it's building the life I can actually live. A life where I have enough of myself left for the people that I love. Enough for my daughter, enough for my partner, enough for the things that bring me joy. And this is the part I've historically been terrible at remembering. Enough for me. So if you're in a season where you've lost a title, a career, an ability, a relationship, a plan, or simply a version of yourself you thought you'd become, I hope you ask yourself the question I'm learning to ask. Not, what am I worth if I can't do what I used to do, but who am I when I stop using productivity to prove that I'm worthy? I think there might be a whole person waiting underneath that question. I'm still meeting mine. Thank you for listening to Still Standing. Until next time, you don't have to earn your value. You don't have to perform your way into being enough. And sometimes moving forward doesn't look like going back. Sometimes it looks like finally building a life around the person you are now. And that person, she's still here, she's still becoming, and she's still standing.
Thank you for listening to Still Standing. Don't forget to check out Brett's website at brettspeaks.com. If this episode helped you feel less alone, please follow the show, share it with someone who may need it, or leave a review. Remember, healing does not have to be perfect to be real, and rebuilding does not have to be pretty to count.